He ain't break Michael Jordan's record for championships.
Yeah.
He ain't got the championships.
Yeah.
He ain't got the league MVP.
Individual
He don't have
sport.
any of that.
It's not an individual sport.
All right. Well, we talking individuals, though. But we talking individuals right now.
Yeah.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan was called God in gym shorts. I'm going to repeat that. God in gym shorts by Larry Bird. Let's remember that.
The debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James will never go away, and every time it comes up, the conversation seems to get even more intense. This time, Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins are on opposite sides of the argument, each bringing their own fire to the discussion. Stephen A. is known for his direct, no-nonsense approach, while Kendrick Perkins often comes in with his own larger-than-life personality and conviction. Together, their back and forth creates the kind of debate that NBA fans cannot get enough of. And at the center of it all lies the question that has divided basketball fans for years. Who is truly the greatest of all time? Is it LeBron James, the modern-day superstar whose career has spanned 2 decades? Or is it Michael Jordan, the man who set the standard for greatness in the NBA? In this breakdown, we are going to go step by step through what was said, analyzing every key moment of the debate between Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins. Each quote tells us something unique about how both sides see the GOAT conversation, and by the end, you will see exactly why Michael Jordan still holds the crown. Stick with me all the way to the conclusion, and do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another breakdown. Let's jump right into it.
He is a truculent individual, to do with attitude, because he don't want to hear what other people gotta say.
Stephen A. Smith begins his pushback by calling out Kendrick Perkins directly, saying that he tries to make people believe things through sheer attitude rather than through facts or context. This moment is important because it sets the tone for the entire debate. Stephen A. is basically drawing a line in the sand. He is saying that while Kendrick may be a strong personality with bold statements, strength of delivery is not the same thing as strength of truth. In sports debates, especially when it comes to the GOAT conversation, people often mistake passion for evidence. Just because someone argues with energy and confidence does not mean their point holds weight. Stephen A. recognizes this and makes it clear that he will not be swayed by theatrics. This is critical because it mirrors what often happens in the wider basketball community. Fans who argue LeBron James as the greatest ever often lean heavily on emotion, highlighting his longevity, his versatility, or his accomplishments over a long career. But when you strip away the emotion, you are left with numbers, results, and impact. And that is where Michael Jordan always stands above the rest. Stephen A. is telling Perkins that he cannot just force people into a belief by raising his voice or repeating a narrative. The facts have to support the claim. And when the facts are laid out, Jordan's superiority speaks for itself. Jordan's flawless finals record, his 6 championships in 6 tries, and his dominance in the toughest era of basketball cannot be brushed aside by raw passion or empty conviction.
Think he's gonna scare you into believing what he believes. It ain't working with me today.
By starting here, Stephen A. makes it clear that he is going to fight this debate not on vibes, but on substance. And that is a crucial step, because the GOAT argument cannot be decided by how loud someone argues. It must be settled by history, context, and undeniable achievement.
Fact of the matter is this: LeBron James was a pass-first dude. We understand his game.
In this moment, Stephen A. does something that many people miss when they hear his criticism of LeBron James. He gives LeBron his flowers. He openly acknowledges that LeBron's greatness is not up for debate. He is one of the most gifted players to ever step onto the basketball court, and his talent is undeniable. This matters because Stephen A. is not simply trying to tear LeBron down in order to prop Jordan up. Instead, he is framing the conversation in a balanced way, showing that respecting LeBron's accomplishments does not mean crowning him as the greatest of all time. Too often, people assume that saying LeBron is not the GOAT means discrediting everything he has done. That is not the case here. Stephen A. makes it clear that LeBron is indeed an all-time great, just not the greatest. This perspective highlights a deeper truth in the GOAT debate. It is possible to recognize that LeBron James is an extraordinary player without rewriting history or elevating him above Michael Jordan. LeBron has 4 championships, multiple MVPs, and countless records. But there is a difference between greatness and ultimate greatness. Jordan represents the pinnacle, the unreachable standard. LeBron exists in the tier just beneath, alongside legends like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, and Magic Johnson. The fact that LeBron is even in that conversation shows how incredible he is. But Stephen A. is reminding everyone that being second does not mean you are being disrespected. It means you are still among the elite few who have changed the game forever.
Brown talents are not to be questioned. One of the greatest ever.
By putting it this way, Stephen A. positions himself as someone who can be both fair and firm. He gives credit where it is due, but never loses sight of the reality that LeBron's greatness, no matter how vast, does not eclipse Michael Jordan's reign.
Day, when you look at what Michael Jordan has accomplished and you saw the times.
This is where Stephen A. Smith lays down the foundation of his argument. He points out that when you evaluate what Jordan accomplished in the the context of the era he played in, there is simply no comparison. Jordan dominated a league filled with physical defenders, stacked teams, and a style of basketball that punished players far more than what we see today. He did this while carrying the weight of global fame, endless expectations, and the constant pressure of being the face of the NBA. And despite all those obstacles, he remained undefeated in the NBA Finals, winning 6 championships in 8 years. That kind of dominance against that level of competition is what cements him as the undisputed GOAT.
And what he pulled off despite the adverse circumstances he was facing. There is no question.
Stephen A. makes it plain. The conversation starts with Jordan and then moves to LeBron, not the other way around. The phrasing is important because it shows that Jordan's place at the top is not up for negotiation. You do not compare LeBron and then wonder if Jordan fits the conversation. You begin with Jordan as the gold standard, and LeBron is always chasing him. Jordan set the bar so high that every player since has been measured against him, and none have surpassed him.
Question. There is MJ, and then there's LeBron.
The adversity Jordan overcame also cannot be ignored. From dealing with the rough-and-tumble Detroit Pistons to facing elite dynasties like the Utah Jazz, Jordan never backed down. He delivered on the biggest stage every single time. LeBron, by contrast, has multiple finals losses, some of which were crushing defeats. That is the gap Stephen A. is highlighting. Jordan represents perfection in the ultimate moments, while LeBron, for all his greatness, cannot claim the same.
You said he's a pass-first player. Well, he sure about to break the record.
Yes.
He sure about to break the record.
That's right. He's phenomenal.
First player.
He's phenomenal.
Here, Kendrick Perkins makes a counterpoint by defending LeBron's play style. He argues that while LeBron has often been labeled as a pass-first player, he believes LeBron will eventually overcome that stigma. Perkins is trying to say that LeBron's scoring ability is so significant that people will stop thinking of him primarily as a facilitator. However, this statement actually underlines the very problem in the GOAT conversation. If LeBron, nearly 2 decades into his career, still carries a stigma that he is not primarily a scorer, then how can he be placed above Michael Jordan, the most dominant scorer the game has ever seen? LeBron's greatness lies in his versatility. He can score, pass, rebound, and defend at a high level. But in trying to be everything, he has never been the singular, unstoppable scoring force that Jordan was. Jordan did not just score points. He dismantled defenses, leading the league in scoring for 10 seasons. LeBron has had incredible scoring seasons, but it has never been the defining aspect of his game. That is why even Perkins admits that LeBron has had to battle against the perception that he is pass first. Jordan never faced that question. His identity as the most lethal offensive weapon was never in doubt. What Perkins is doing here is attempting to reframe LeBron's legacy, but instead of elevating him, it reveals the difference between him and Jordan. Jordan never had to prove that he was a scorer. It was already understood by everyone, from his opponents to his teammates to the fans. LeBron, despite all his records, still fights against narratives that question his killer instinct and his willingness to dominate offensively. That reality alone shows why Jordan will always have the edge. Stephen A. Smith lays it bare when he says LeBron James is not ever going to break Michael Jordan's championships record, and neither does he have the league MVPs. That statement cuts through all the noise in the debate. When you measure greatness, you measure achievement. Michael Jordan won 6 championships in 6 tries. 6. Never lost once he got there. He stacked up 6 finals MVPs on top of that, because every single time he was not just there. He was the driving force, the undisputed reason the Chicago Bulls rose to dominance. Add to that 5 regular season MVPs in an era where the league was filled with killers at every position. This is not some arbitrary stat padding. This is dominance in the truest form. LeBron James, for all his greatness, has 4 championships in 10 tries. His finals record is riddled with losses, and while he has 4 MVPs, his dominance has always been debated, always shared with contemporaries who at times took the spotlight. Michael Jordan owned the league, owned the narrative, and owned his era in a way that no one has before or since. Stephen A. is simply reminding the world of the cold truth. LeBron cannot and will not surpass Michael Jordan in these immortal categories. The record is set, the standard has been defined, and Jordan sits alone at the top.
He ain't break Michael Jordan's record for championships.
Yeah.
He ain't got the championships. He ain't got the league MVPs.
Kendrick Perkins tries to counter with his point, saying the game of basketball is not an individual sport, but a collective team effort, and Stephen A. fails to understand that. Perkins is right in a technical sense, but he misses the essence of what Stephen A. is talking about. Nobody is saying Jordan did it by himself. Of course, basketball is a team game. Of course, he had teammates. But the point is, Jordan elevated every single person around him to another level. He was the centerpiece, the magnet, the force of gravity that bent the game in his direction. Championships do not happen without that figure who sees seizes the moment. Jordan was that figure every single time. LeBron, meanwhile, has had multiple super teams, hand-picked rosters, and carefully crafted situations, yet his record still pales in comparison. Perkins wants to lean on the team angle as if it absolves LeBron's shortcomings, but in reality, it strengthens Jordan's case. Because Jordan did not just play on a team, he defined the team. He was the pulse. He was the intimidation factor. He was the one everybody followed and the one opponents feared. That is why Stephen A. hammers Perkins, because you cannot hide behind team game arguments when greatness is staring you in the face. Jordan was the ultimate leader in a team sport, which is why his 6 championships and dominance stand above all excuses.
He don't have any of that.
It's not an individual sport.
All right. Well, we talking individuals, though. But we talking individuals right now.
Yeah.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan was called God in gym shorts. I'm going to repeat that.
Stephen A. Smith then drops the hammer by reminding Perkins that Larry Bird himself once called Michael Jordan a god in gym shorts. That is not hyperbole. That is not a fanboy quote. That is one of the greatest players in NBA history. A 3-time champion, 3-time MVP, and a man who went toe-to-toe with Magic Johnson, giving Jordan that label. Think about what that means. When the legends of the game, the ones who know the grind, the ones who have lived the pressure, speak with that level of reverence, it carries weight far beyond statistics. Larry Bird was not in the business of overhyping anyone. He was as brutally honest and competitive as they come. For him to say Jordan was a god in gym shorts is not just a compliment. It is an acknowledgement that Jordan transcended basketball itself. That kind of reverence has never been applied to LeBron James. Respect, yes. Acknowledgement of greatness, absolutely. But reverence, fear, divinity on the hardwood, that belongs to Jordan alone. Stephen A. is absolutely right to question whether Perkins even understands the significance of that. Because if you do, you stop this debate cold. You realize that when the game's own warriors bowed to Jordan, the discussion was over before it started.
God in gym shorts by Larry Bird. Let's remember that.
At the end of this heated debate, one truth rises above all others. LeBron James is great. No one denies that. But Michael Jordan is immortal. He is the measuring stick, the standard, the god of the game. Stephen A. Smith drives home the point with every quote. LeBron will never surpass the championships, never equal the MVPs, and never command the reverence that Jordan earned. Perkins can argue about team dynamics, but even that falls apart under the weight of Jordan's impact. And when Larry Bird, an icon in his own right, calls you a god in gym shorts, the conversation is finished. This is why the debate remains lopsided. Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, period. LeBron can chase the ghost forever, but that ghost wears number 23, and he will never be caught.